Making a break for it, flying fast, right into the shining blast. This is the Gundam Shining Break, people. What is going on, guys? MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the high-grade Gundam Shining Break from Gundam Build Divers Break. Now, this is basically a fusion between the Arios, or if you pronounce it Arios, the Kyrios, and the Shining Gundam, while being based off of the Shining Gundam. Now, initially when it first was announced, I didn't recognize that it was the Shining Gundam at all until people stated that, well, it is based off of the Shining Gundam, and I can clearly see why. Because, yep, the old issue is back. This is still using one of the loosest molds ever. Now, although the legs are fine, I have a lot of issues with my original Shining Gundam's legs. The gauntlets are still one of the worst things of this kit. Now, how much of this is shining? Well, the arms, and then the waist, and then the thighs, and then the legs, and yep, that's it. So there is really a lot of new parts in this guy, and I have to say it works really well. So comparing the before version and after version, if you ask me, I would definitely prefer the after version, well, which is this version, because it has the generic Gundam colors, albeit the blue being dark blue, and then you still have the white, red, yellow, and gray, and of course you have the clear green on the chest, which does give it a little bit of a pop. And well, I just have to say this is a perfect balance between a mix of Future Century and Double O. Well, I really hope the GLs would come out just to have a pair with this guy. Like, this does look pretty good. If you do not look closely, you will not recognize this is actually the Shining Gundam, but instead you will see that it's just a basic custom of a Kyrios. So I had to say this guy is pretty unique among all of the Build Divers kits, to be honest. Probably one of the most unique, like probably next to Mobile Doll Sarah, just because you can clearly recognize the other ones. But this one, you cannot recognize it at first glance. So for stickers, you have the eyes, and then you have the back of the head, and then you have the black on the front skirts, and then the black on the knees, which are pretty insignificant. And then you also have the black over here on the, what is it called, the front foot armor. And that is basically it. So the big issue with this kit that I have, as I mentioned, was the gauntlets. So thank God this guy doesn't have to transform between one mode and the other, just because, well, the major transformation part is what makes the Shining Gundam that bad, not loose in its own case. So you can permanently glue these in, but you do not have to worry about taking them out, just because you do have extra arm pieces, just because of how the plates work. But anyways, this does look pretty good and pretty unique. So for the articulation of this guy, it is basically the Shining Gundam's frame, so expect nothing more or less. So the head is still on your typical double ball joint with limited motion, just because it is the old joint per se. So the polycaps are not as really movable as those are now. And then you have the swing out polycap joint, and it can rotate. The arms can go out that far, and the gauntlet can go flying. The arms can rotate above the elbow, bend at the elbow, 2 joints, looking pretty good. The wrist rotates and wiggles. The stomach is a bit limited, but you can still get pretty decent motion out of it. And then the front skirts can move, side skirts can move, back skirts are okay, movable, not like the bricks that we have today. And then the legs can go forwards and back separate from the waist, no funky dance this time. And then the legs can go forwards a little bit, but if you bend it and then lift it, you can go out all the way. It's just how the armor is designed. It kind of gets in the way if you do not bend it before you're lifting the foot. And then they can go back that far, go out pretty much all the way. That was based off of a martial arts Gundam. So, and then you can rotate above the hip, a double jointed knee, which looks pretty good. And then the feet, they can go forwards and back on the top joint, and then they can go forwards and back on the ball joint on the bottom, and then side to side on the ball joint over here. And then they can rotate, and of course the toe can point down for the transformation. And then the backpack, they only have 2 moving joints for the beam saber holsters. which you gotta be careful because the pegs on the beam saber holsters are pretty thin, so you may break if you just rotate them on the handle alone. You gotta grab the actual holster and rotate it. But anyways, there's a bit of motion there. So all in all, the articulation is pretty good. It is based off of the Shining Gundam, so you still get that martial arts standard of range for motion. But I have to say, it is pretty good. So for the accessories, first of all, let's start off with the gimmicky stuff. So for extra hands, you do get those holding hands that I'm using now. And then you do get a set of fists. Too bad, no shining finger. Yeah, no extra shining finger for you to play around with this guy. So if you want that, gotta borrow it from your original Shining Gundam. And then it has the generic Gundam loadout. You saw the beam sabers in the back, which is basically the long and short saber, but thanks to how the plates work, you can actually give the Shining Break 2 long sabers or 2 short sabers. Although you do not get 2 of these beam saber heads, so you gotta switch the handles around. But anyways, they can go into the hand like this, just straightforward. Thank God it's not gonna be stored on the side skirt anymore, because that is a crap feature. And then until I stabilize them, well, fine. You do get 2 clear paint beams, 1 long and 1 short. So you can give him the long saber and then the short saber. And then you have the beam rifle, which looks pretty good. You do have a green sticker for the scope, but I went without it and colored it in with metallic green Gundam marker. You do have a red moving piece that moves for no particular reason. This is the transformed state, just because I filmed the intro before I did this, so yeah, I had to transform it, didn't I? So you just flip it out for the handle to pop out, and then it just goes straight into the hand, like so. Then again, thanks to there being 2 A plates, you get another full one. So yeah, you can have the Shining Break dual wield its beam rifles, which is kinda nice. And then finally you have the shield. This is just your generic old shield with a navy blue, white, and then the red fins for the transformation. And it does have a handle over here, so you can flip out and allow the Shining Break to hold it, which is what you should do. But I find that you can basically just place this into the hole in the gauntlet and then slide it down just to lock it. It locks in very securely. It is not going anywhere. Although if the gauntlet just falls off, yep, it just goes with it. So I think the handle inside the shield is completely unnecessary. But, well, it's there to be there. But then, you do get pieces to build another shield without the red fins, because the red fins come from the A plate, so you cannot really build a duplicate shield with the red fins, but it looks good enough either way. So here, the Gundam Shining Break fully decked out. But of course, the added feature of the Shining Break is its transformation, so let me set that up first. What you need to do first is to rotate the head, so it doesn't have the face looking down when it is transformed, and then raise the shoulder thrusters for whatever reason. I don't know if you're going for a full Burnian look, but that's it. And you do not need to do anything with the arms, you do not need to do anything with the waist. And then for the legs, you just rotate them sideways, kind of point them out a little bit, and then point the toes down. But what I like to do, just for it to resemble the Kyrios, bend the legs. So yeah, this is something you can definitely do with the Shining Break. If Bandai decides to re-release an updated version of the Anno Domini Gundams, this is what they'll do for the Kyrios. So you do not need that extra disgusting adapter just to make it transform. And the instruction manual tells you to take out the beam sabers, but you really do not have to. So you basically open up the fins on the shield and then peg the lower peg, the inner peg, into the backpack. And as you can see, the beam sabers just fit well around it. I do not really see a significant purpose to remove the beam sabers from the backpack, but if there is a purpose that will be detrimental to my kit if I don't do it, tell me in the comments below. And then just take one of the rifles, collapse the handle, and then slide it into this front piece. Like so. So this is the Shining Break in the Shining Berkut mode. Now, I really do like this mode, but in certain angles only, to be honest with you. Just because, well, if you look at it from this angle, it does look like a jet. But if you rotate it, it still looks like a jet. On top, it's just a Gundam. And then on the bottom, yeah, it's literally a Gundam. Now, this is also one of the problems that I have with the Shining Berkut mode, because I have switched out backpacks. Thanks to the plates, it has an extra backpack, so I had to use it. And even after I switched the backpacks, the shield is still pretty loose. Now, I do not want to take apart the shield just to transfer the red fins to the extra shield, just in case I break anything. So, I do suggest you apply some super glue to the shield peg before, well, probably building it. Just stiffen it up. But nonetheless, this is pretty good looking. So for extra parts, I did mention the extra backpack, and then I accidentally cut off 2 of these. These are basically just outer pieces of each arm. So here is the A2 plates. You do have a full chest and a full helmet, and of course you do have the face for the helmet, but I used the face already. And then for the A1 plate, really nothing was left, although these are still left over. So you can give the Shining Break an ethereal V-fin and head fins over here with this clear green. I would definitely try that, but not so sure. I may be using the helmet, so yeah, I'll use it on that. And then for the B plates over here, minus the extra hand pieces that I have, yeah, and I did mention there are extra handles over here, so you can give it 2 long swords or 2 short swords if you want, but they still have the long and short blade, so there's nothing you can really do about it. You do have an extra waist and then extra leg pieces. There's just a lot of leftover pieces from the original Shining Gundam. You won't believe you actually have these over here left over, the masks. And then finally the C1 and C2 plate is basically just the soles of the feet. And that's just all. So there's definitely a lot of extra parts over here. A lot of customization options if you guys can open it up. Now for comparisons, let me bring in the Shining Gundam. Now this is not the original Shining Gundam because I have dismantled its shoulders to use it for Gundam Capricorn, and the skirt is lying around in a box somewhere, so it does differ a lot between the Shining Break and this. These would definitely look good together if all the original parts are here, because I, well, dismantled some for customization. And with this being a Build Divers kit, how could I not compare it to the 00 Sky? I would offend a lot of kids if I don't do that. Although these two are never actually seen directly together, they still kinda look good. Although my 00 Sky is not in the original colors, this is the higher end Sky phase. But the only kit, if they ever release it, that will look perfect beside the Shining Break will be the Gundam GL. So for God's sakes, Bandai, release the GLs, please. But anyways, that's all for me for this review. What do I think of this kit? Well, this is definitely a worthy inclusion if you have interest in it. Of course, the Shining Berkut does look good in some angles, but it's kind of flawed in a way. But I can really cannot fully blame them just because the Shining Gundam was not a transformable Gundam to begin with. But then just the design looking more aerials than Shining really gives it more of a unique appeal. So the indistinguishable factor on first glance is definitely one of the charms of this kit. This is just something you can pick up in your downtime and just build to your heart's content. And of course, all the customization parts that were included in this kit were enough of a reason for me to buy this over the H2 Magnum SV. But after all, as I did say multiple times, this is just a model kit that you can pick up in your downtime and just have fun building it. So tell me in the comments below, what do you think of this kit? And thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and also subscribe for more gunplay reviews, gunplay news, and all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to the featured channels on my channel page if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out, guys. Bye bye.